evening. Test. Good morning. Good evening. For anybody on YouTube, the !play command doesn't work over there. You have to navigate your way to the tournaments like this. We go to chess.com. We go to clubs, Chess Dojo, upcoming events, and here they are, the 3 rapid tournaments. Hey Nordvik, how are you? Okay, let's check if over on Twitch this command is working that I'd set before. These arena URLs look right. Let me click this one. Looks good. Click this one. Looks good. This one looks right. Okay. All the links are working. And now we'll just hang out till they start. Oh yeah, folks are ready to rumble. Hey, Cross, there. A couple of them are still sleeping, actually. Hey, Sown Horse, you might need to join the chess.com club. Have you joined the chess.com club before? I send you the link here. It should just take a click to join, basically. That club is completely open and all. Okay, first time doing these rapids. Yeah. Let me try and click on a club that I'm not a member of and see if I can find where the button is to try and join a club. These are all clubs that I am in. Let me click find clubs. Oh, you found it already. Haha. You win the race, Xone. You win the race. Bay Area Chess. Oh, this one's in my neighborhood. I should join this one. And to join, there would have been a big green button near the top. That's what I was expecting, was a big old button somewhere clear. Wait, sorry, 1 second. I was going to post this thing to Twitter real quick. Okay, sent. All right, so to Fuza's question, no, I did not hear about Stephen Docks. Sounds like the name of a chess player from like Belgium or somewhere like that. Belgian chess player. Look at that. Hey, La Liga enthusiast, that command only works over on Twitch, where you can set up these robots that answer people with links. So for you, I'm sending you a link that you can maybe maneuver through to find your way to the correct tournaments, which can be found. This is the Chess Dojo Club. If you scroll just a little bit below the thing, it shows upcoming events, and there's three different rating ranges for the arena based on your chess.com rating. I am not playing against people in the tournament myself, F6 Enjoyer. I am watching people play the tournament, and then I comment on what they do, so that later the people who play in the tournament can go back to the recorded video, which for La Liga enthusiasts benefit, I'll say it, VOD stands for video on demand. So it means you can rewatch this video at your leisure anytime you want. And so people can play the games and then later go listen to what I said about their games and see what, thoughts or insight that gives them into their own game. And it's totally fine, by the way, Liga enthusiast. I mean, anyone who wants to has a right to be a boomer at any age, I suppose, since it doesn't really have anything to do with age anymore. Clean game with the English opening. Nice. Okay. So, the 1700 plus section needs one more player. Chess.com did this thing that I wasn't being careful about when I set up these tournaments, where it starts the tournaments like 2 minutes earlier than I set the tournaments for. So I set the tournaments for the normal 9:30 time. Normally I set them for 9:32. But today they're going to start at 9:28 instead of 9:30 because I just clicked 9:30. Non-boomer boomer. For a non-boomer boomer was a Luddite. Maybe. But I think the Luddites were not only, let's say, it wasn't necessarily that they were bad at technology, but they were against technology, right? Maybe I'm getting that slightly wrong. Maybe I'm thinking of a different word than you. I think Luddites. Well, yeah, maybe I'm wrong, but I'm thinking of a word meaning people who are actively trying to prevent the march of technology. Yeah, bad with technology. Well, we could look it up. We have... Why won't my mouse move today? That's weird. Oh, maybe my... That was a bad moment. Well, I mean, you're already trying for a more precise word, M. Norris, than the way people toss around boomer. So you're on your way to good results. Nordvik says the Luddites were members of a 19th century movement of textile workers. Yeah, they opposed automated machinery because it was going to hurt worker pay. And they destroyed the machines. Yeah, okay, so that is what I thought it was. And I may be slightly more familiar with this word because to some extent I myself am a Luddite, even though I, to a certain extent, work in technology. Just like I run businesses but am anti-capitalist, I also work in technology businesses while being a Luddite. In part. Let's see if our other sections have enough players. I'm just going to click on the links through them 1, 2, 3 and see how they're doing. Under 1300 has enough players to kick off. Excellent. And 1300 to 1700 is missing 1 player. Oh, I'm sorry, Oscar Chess. Less noobs today, Falgri. I'm sorry about that. But it is the 13 to 1700 section, folks, that needs 1 more participant in the next 2 minutes in order to properly kick off. So, is there somebody who would like to join Nordvik and Hokey Gamer and Oberlus Chinaski in a pleasant little repartee of 15 plus 5? Last week tournaments got messed up, La Liga enthusiast. If so, that would be either my fault or chess.com's fault. So I set them up and left them for Rangout to comment while I was on an airplane. I'm flying back tomorrow, by the way. So I'll be out of the closet by then. Hikaru just dropped a secret in candidates after party. Nepo was saying every game of Gukesh is suspect. Well, I guess that would have been Nepo in the heat of the moment, perhaps. Making an offhand comment to a friend, yeah? Maybe with more time, he didn't feel that later. And they were again the endgames from Friday night fights and from the previous Saturday. Ugh. That's really annoying. Sorry, everybody. Kostya zipped in and fixed it. Woo! Like a superhero. Speaking of superheroes, our 13 to 1700s have 55 seconds to find a 4th player. Here's the link to their tournament. Nope, that link isn't right. Good job, chess.com, feeding me a weird link. We need 1 more player, 13 to 1700. I should promote my channel more. Well, that was lost from the first move. Sorry, Oscar Chess. Well, RKJ, we have finally hired a marketing person to join the Chess Dojo team. You guys got your 4th player. Oh, perfect. And more people will filter in over the course of the couple hours that this thing runs. So as long as you've got enough for the tournament to fire up, things will work out now. But yeah, RKJW, my thing is not so much promotion, you know, it's more chess teaching is what I enjoy doing, and I don't want to spend all my time on, or even much of my time on promotion. So hopefully the channel will just grow over time, you know. But I'm glad that you like it and you think it quote unquote deserves viewers. That we do hope that our viewers, you know, like the channel. So that's the right feeling. All right, we've got an exchange Carl Khan here between Hokey Gamer and Oberlus. Standard stuff so far. Black gets the bishop out quickly because they want to play this pawn structure with e6 probably. And the bishop on c8 can sometimes get stuck if you play e6. So they bring the bishop out first, and then we'll see e6 coming in later. And on the other board in this section, I have Nordvik and M. Norris playing. Ooh, look at this. Evans Gambit, sacking the pawn, taking us back to the 19th century. And yeah, now normally black would take on d4 and eat some more pawns, but Nordvik's not a super materialistic guy, so he decides, you know, I've got one pawn, that's fine, let me hold my center. The question is, though, if white plays d5, doesn't black lose a piece? No, there's queen a4 check, pawn to c6, and the queen defends the bishop. Okay, so d5, black can go knight e7, and all is well. Greetings, Dripman. Okay, so that move looks solid enough. Then white could trade on e5, which probably wins back a pawn with something like takes, you know, takes. And if the knight takes, you get the e pawn. If the king takes, you get the f7 pawn. But that's not, you know, a dramatic problem for black. That's just a reasonable position. White gets the pawn back and the game goes on. Both players are developing freely. So everything fine so far there. Under 1300 was canceled zone. Let me see. Clubs. Chess Dojo. Current events. Oh yeah, under 1300 got canceled. Well, I can reopen one. I can make a new one, but if there aren't enough players... Right. Yeah, no, somebody quit at the last moment, I guess, which canceled the tournament. And it needs 4 players to happen. So what do I do to start a new one? Tournaments. I can try and remake it once. Okay, I remake the under 1300. Saturday Rapid under 1300. Rated 3 hours, 15 and 5, a start time of, let's see the soonest it'll let us make it. Like 40 is probably too soon. Let's give it like 5 minutes, maybe 45. Create it. Copy this. Under 1300. Go to MooBot. Switch the command there. Under 1300 link. Save. And that should be the new link, that 3754323 thing. Should get folks in there. I just don't know how to promo it any better, my friends. I'm sorry. There it is, upcoming event, Saturday Rapid. All right, let's see what M. Norris has done with this position. Queen develops, putting this classic pressure on the f7 pawn. Yeah, that's a slick move, Norris. Queen defends f7. Now this move d5 might have won the game, by the way. Because if the knight moves, I mean, as far as I can tell, there's queen b5 check, winning the bishop. Previously, without the inclusion of that queen b3 move, what I was showing or alluding to was that this check wouldn't win the bishop, because after c6, the queen sneakily defends its bishop. So you land a double attack, but black has a double defense. Okay, so queen b3 was super slick, because when the queen defends f7, that takes it off of d8, and the move d5 is then winning. So M. Norris, I think here with queen b3, may have found a better move than anything that we had discussed previously. But then here misses the moment for d5. So we have to ask ourselves, what is M. Norris up to at de5? Nordovik is having a pretty big think about it. And I would guess the idea is that if this pawn leaves, M. Norris wants to put the bishop here, which is a typical Evans Gambit theme, and sort of cut the king off along this diagonal here, keep him in the center. So that would make you consider the move knight takes e5 as black to try and keep the pawn on d6, keep the diagonal blocked. But knight e5, you have to worry about queen b5 coming back in and winning material. Also, you'd have knight back to c6. Knight e5, knight e5, there'd be queen e5 or pawn e5. Queen e5 defends the bishop but hangs the f7 pawn. Yeah, so this move still looks pretty good for white, what M. Norris played. And perhaps M. Norris didn't consider the move d5 because they looked first at d takes e5, found the move was good, and then played it. Maybe that's why d5 didn't really come into consideration. And let's copy link of this new tournament, throw it over here in YouTube. Let's see if that link works now. Welcome to the dojo, Neon Chess Man. Happy to have you here with us. Let me see if we've got enough players in this new tournament as well. Oh yeah, Xone is back in there, Falgri's back in there, and a 2000 rated beast. Maybe we should. Oh, and this is the Norda. No, this is. Oh, this game advanced in the time I just clicked over there that much. Wow, look at this, folks. Here. So queen b5 check. So black did take with the knight. White trades and is up a full piece, basically, with queen b5 check. M. Norris threw in bishop a3 first, just torturing Nordovic, getting a tempo and then going and winning the piece. At least black blocks the bishop out, but as Seth says, once again, Drew with the bad position out of the opening. So we're going to get to see the most classic Nordovic magic there is, which is winning a game down a full piece. And for those who haven't seen it before, it's a surprising thing. It's a surprising thing. Well, HHT Woo, they'd probably be happy if you stayed in the section for 4 minutes, because if you quit, their tournament's going to get canceled again. But normally in the upper right, there would be a button you could click to leave. There is a section that is designed for you. It's a 1700 plus section that you can still join here with this link. There's a 1700 plus section. But okay, let's see how this plays out. So Nordovic, queen to d7, looking at the knight, looking at cutting off the space around this queen. But is there any way to attack the trapped queen, right? Any way to attack her? Like, if white didn't pay attention, would this maneuver here trap the queen? Yeah, folks, the under 1300 players need company. One more player is required for that section to hold. Their time is up again in 3 minutes. So just a courtesy announcement for your under 1300 comrades. They are waiting for you over here. Send the link to both chats. And hope. Bishop takes c5, Dritman says. And then the queen could take back, right? I mean, this is definitely not working with the pawn. But the queen could take back, and that would work. So that's an idea or a possibility for black. Let's see how it plays. Nordovic is very sneaky with these things. The queen comes first, and then rook d8, preventing the knight from moving because of queen takes on d1. 10 minutes each, 5 minutes used, 10 minutes to go. Bishop f1 would avoid back rank mate. Knight f1 as well. But I don't think white wants to trade the two rooks like that, even though it's not an immediate forced loss. To move the knight. 2 rooks for the queen. Black gets control of the first rank. I think it's not the best option. For white, it'll also give up the pawn on e4. Bishop e2 is played, looking at bringing the queen back here. Yeah. Also overprotecting the rook, so preparing for the knight to move strongly. This bishop e2 move was very, very strong from M. Norris, actually. Very strong move. We have 40 more seconds for an under 1300. Xonehorse, DG Chess, and Fougry need an under 1300 companion. Bubblehead steps up. Thank you, Bubblehead. Thank you, Bubblehead. Had you not joined, they would have probably had to go play in the 13 to 1700 section with some real experienced beasts. So thank you very much, Bubblehead. Well done. Well done. And I'm sure DG Chess, Zone Horse, and Foundry are super ready. But normally I say 3, 2, 1, action! You know, get ready. Your boards are being created by chess.com as we speak. Games are coming up. And here we go. They're raring to go. DG Chess bashes out the queen pawn, and the queen's gambit declined against Zone Horse, bringing the Slav. Here we've got a Caro from Bubblehead. Beautiful. Caro's been fairly popular in the dojo lately. And we're in the under 1300 section, but these players seem very, very confident about their first couple moves. So they've got a basic degree of repertoire that they're comfortable playing here. And Black is sort of transposing this Caro-Kann into a French, where they've spent 2 moves getting the C pawn to C5, right? C6 and C5. But they got the bishop out from C8. So you could say, you know, having your pawn on C5 cost 1 extra tempo. Having the bishop outside the pawn chain, priceless, right? This is, Bubblehead has achieved a kind of dream here at the start, and we'll see whether or not the tempo costs them or not, whether Foundry gets anything special out of that 1 extra tempo move. Meanwhile, let me get my game list and see what I got here. We've been watching the M. Norris game, so let's see what happens. Nordic tries to hold that queen in with the B pawn. Bishop capturing on C5, hoping to make space for the lady. And it seems like she's got an escape route planned and all. So for the moment, it looks like M. Norris is not falling into the normal Nordic tricks and traps. But we'll see if they can keep it up. Ooh, looking to grab another pawn. That's dangerous. Is there a problem with that? Is that okay? M. Norris, by the way, is not shying away from playing the complicated moves just because they're up a piece. We've been having this discussion recently about when you're ahead, you know, to what extent should you play safety first moves, and to what extent should you keep trying to play the best moves, right? Because you can play too safely or you can play too aggressively. Either can become a problem. So what I'm seeing M. Norris do here so far is putting in a lot of effort to try and play very strong, precise moves here, starting from Rook D1 to Bishop E2, which was a very tough move, and then this choice to grab 1 pawn, and even more dangerously grab the 2nd pawn with the bishop hanging, calculating that if this bishop moves, the queen comes here, defends the bishop, that if this bishop drops back, the queen comes here and defends the bishop. So M. Norris may be a perfectionist, or they may have adopted this attitude of, if I work really hard on the next couple moves and play really precise moves, then things will get easier, you know? Now, there's one more variation we have to calculate check M. Norris and Nordovic on, just to verify for them, right? But if trades, you can then try and chase this queen off of the defense of the bishop, and your queen is covering the A5 square. So against this move, I only really see one option for white, and you know, maybe it's 6 in the morning for me, but what I see is queen C4, defending the bishop from here. Then if black attacks that piece more, like with this move, what do you have? You have knight B3, right? And now black has an option to get back a little bit of material. Rook takes, pawn takes, queen takes, and just rook D8 check, and white cleans up. So white's winning there. Black can also go knight d7, going after the piece more. When the knight attacks, then rook d5 probably defends it. But it walks into knight b6. That gets something back for black. I'm in Kaneohe right now, HHT Woo, on the island of Oahu. So I think here white would have to concede that black's winning back in exchange. But actually white's still tied up even if they do this. We can't counter the d file. If the queen moves, black plays rook takes b3 and equalizes. Oof. I think Nordovic should have definitely tried this. Attack, attack. I don't really see how white saves that piece. The dojo money did not pay for my trip, HHT Woo. But we're visiting my children's grandparents, aka my in-laws. Well, I'll say this. Flights to Hawaii are not too expensive off-season. They're expensive in the summer and around the Christmas vacations. But if you go in a sort of random week from California, you can still get tickets under $400 round trip, you know, like 300 something round trip. And then if you've got family and you don't have to... Finding a place to stay, I think, is super expensive. But if you don't have to find a place to stay, it's, you know, pretty good. I'd like to think that what I deserved, HHT Woo, was a week. Not with my in-laws. Shh. I'm in a closet, but I still have to whisper that one. I would have loved to be at home streaming normally from my bedroom instead of this closet. But in any case, what we see before us here, right, is actually some real danger or jeopardy for that bishop on c5. So, you know, this is a sharp battle that comes out of this bishop b5 move. The tournaments are not Swiss as Chessify because if you run a tournament as a Swiss on chess.com, it doesn't allow people who show up late to play. Whereas as arenas, you all could join right now. Anybody who's popping in right now. The tournament started 20 minutes ago, but you can join, you can play 1 game or 3 games, whatever you like. So that's why I've been running them as arenas more recently, even though for those of you like Nordovic here who played in these events 2 or 3 years ago, they did used to be Swisses with a set number of rounds, usually 4. Okay, so this was really a sharp moment in the game. Nordovic goes after the bishops. The knight on d2 is defending the one on c4, so it escapes here. Grabs another pawn. Back in the day, Dojo was on Lee Chess. I think we've pretty much always been a Chess.com partnered stream, so there are many Dojo players who play on Lee Chess, and we have events that happen on Lee Chess, but we never stream them. I mean, I think Jesse streamed on Lee Chess 2 or 3 times, even though he wasn't allowed to, and there was a whole funny thing in retrospect. I mean, at the time it was maybe mildly stressful, In retrospect, there was a funny thing where Danny or somebody from chess.com would send Kostya and me a message like, he's streaming on Lead Chess again. Come on, guys, it's not that complicated. And then we would say, Jesse, we can't do that. And what was his reason for doing it anyway? The story would be better if I remembered why Jesse kept streaming on Lead Chess when we were chess.com partners. Anyway, I think ultimately it resolved without anyone truly getting too angry or anything like that. I don't know. But we've reached a fairly decisive moment here with knight takes e4 from Nordovic. Rook takes e4, defending all the bishops, and the mate on g2 is not yet available. But Nordovic is not done throwing tactics at M. Norris, who tries to hold on to all the material. Goes for more on f7 here even. Maybe M. Norris felt that they had to calculate all this stuff. I'm not sure. Or maybe they're just like an extreme maximalist and material lover, right? Because there's all kinds of stuff hanging with this approach. There's rook takes d2, queen e4 in the air. There's queen e4, knight e4, rook d1, but I guess the queen on b3 is covering that idea, so that's probably not very good to go for. M. Norris is definitely trying to play like a machine, right? With the whole like, I don't care, I just take everything approach. Queen g6. Was this not maybe a good moment to try throwing this and getting a little bit of material back? There's bishop f7 here, taking your rook at the end, and then you have queen e1. That's exactly the kind of sting that you need to trick or trap somebody when you're behind, I think, is you need a variation. I think you need a variation basically where the opponent thinks they got you, but then you've got what Bobby Fischer called the sting at the tail end of the combination, right? It has to be a variation which looks like the other person's tricking you at sort of a higher level, you know. Under 1,000, I'm sure there are some simpler traps you could set that would work now and then, but at higher rating levels, you sort of need that kind of misdirection, right? Like, you have to be like, oh, I'm going for this trick where I take on e4, and your opponent's like, aha, I saw something better than you, I'm taking your rook. And then you get them because you saw a thing after the thing after the thing, you know? That's kind of what's needed at this level. So again, I feel like that might have been a little chance for Nordovic again here to go for rook takes d2, but let's just see the Nordovic magic. Queen b7. Taking away that bishop, that looks rough. And M. Norris finishes it off, and at the end shows that they are willing to play practical moves here with the bishop sack to trade queens and then cleaning up. Yeah, tough first round for Nordovic. The closest thing I saw to a chance for Nordovic was this bishop takes b5 move around this phase right here. Trading and then rook b8. That variation looked pretty complicated and unclear. I'm not sure that M. Norris had a clean way to clean up that variation because I didn't see it within the time constraints of their game. Now let's move on to another game here. What's going on with this game? We've got an attempted knight trap on a8. If DG Chess can save that knight, they'll be in very, very good shape to try to win this game. So let's see if that knight gets out of here. b6, and the bishop and pawn are defending each other. For the moment, the knight can't get out of these two squares. If black captures that knight, then I would say, oddly, the two bishops are going to be about as good as a knight and rook in this position. They're very strong bishop pair. If the knight gets out, then white's basically up a rook and should just find their way to eventually winning. So It's a critical think here for DG chess. And chat, you're always welcome to guess along with the players, you know. Very, very clean move from DG chess. That's exactly the move I had in mind. So it's too late, chat, for you guys to guess or calculate a way out for DG chess. This move here has a very good chance of getting the knight out. The pawn advances sacrificially controlling this square, with the idea that if the bishop eliminates the pawn which appears to be hanging, the knight can come out simply through b6. So d6, very, very good. And it's the kind of move that sometimes you don't see because your mind blocks out hanging moves, right? The move hangs the pawn. So sometimes your mind blocks out these pawn hanging moves. But here it's a good one. And hi, Sushan, welcome to the stream today. See if Zone can come up with anything here. You know, maybe throw rook e8 and see if the white king has a place to go. If you go king d7, knight c7, and take on d6, maybe the knight can't get out so easily from b5. That would be a weird try as black. Look at this. Knight comes out, you capture this, knight b5, and you come here, and maybe the knight doesn't yet have an escape from b5. I mean, it shouldn't die on that square, but I don't know. Maybe you could still keep it trapped. I think white can still castle Stamen, and the black king has clearly been checked by a knight on c7, I think. Rook e8's the choice after a couple minute thought. That thing where you bring the black king up to d5, that looked reasonable to me. That looked like a reasonable try to me, actually, this king coming up to d5. I feel like it leaves white with some tricky things to calculate still. Maybe just rook d1 and the knight comes out on d4. Maybe it's not tricky enough. I don't know. We'll see if rook e8 drums up any chances either. Basically, if the king goes to f1, then the rook on h1 is trapped, right? And if the king comes out into the center, then black can take out the pawn on f2 and weaken some squares around the king, maybe try and get some counterplay going with the bishop pair. So we'll see if this is tricky enough for white to handle or not. And then, you know, Zone has to then evaluate the choices made based on that. Actually, one other tricky idea for black. Look at this idea. If the king comes into the center, you go for rook e6 and capturing this pawn with check, so the knight actually doesn't make it out. Ooh. I'm not sure, Dr. P-Fowl. I'm not in a standard setup here. I might be occasionally hitting the mic or the chair or something. Let's see if it's let's see if it's even using my main external mic correctly. Yeah, it does have the mic selected. Hi, Leviathan. Oh yeah, rook e8 is quite sneaky. That rook e6 idea is straight up evil. Straight up evil. Hard to see it coming. But I think it's pretty effective against king d2 or king d1. I think that rook e6 move would be really powerful. Sushan says, gives us one of the big problems of chess. Most lines in the opening courses end with just a small edge and an ending. But let's say you want a rich game to play for a win. What's the solution? The solution is to play against people who don't know a million opening courses memorized by heart. Most people don't really have a million opening courses memorized. They may have tried to memorize some courses, but most people don't really have a million courses memorized. So play against somebody who doesn't know every opening by heart. It'll be more fun to play against them, you'll see. If you try and play against guys like, I've been watching the U.S. Championship lately. If you try and play against guys like Fabi and Wesley and Dominguez and Shankland, Sevian, you'll find that chess is actually less fun. You know, to some extent, everybody's dream is to play against those guys. But if you get there, depending on your personality, you might find out that it's not all that you cracked it up to be, and that actually chess becomes a lot less fun once you play against those people. It's actually more fun to play against Zone Horse and DG Chess than to play against Fabi and Wesley. Alright, DG Chess spent a good amount of time considering this check and chose king to d2. 4.5 minutes of thought. So DG Chess continued to understand the critical nature of this situation. Can this knight on a8 get out or not? Apparently in that Evans Gambit we watched, folks, queen b3 was the main line, the best move, as played by M. Norris. And black should put the queen on d7 instead of e7. So that, but, even more exciting news flash, folks, Zone Horse found this rook e6 move. Powerful. Powerful move. So anyway, folks, queen d7 has to be played instead of queen e7. It's an awkward square for the queen, but it avoids that d5, queen a4 check trap. So now we know a little bit of Evans Gambit theory as well. Not enough to bore Sushan. We only know the first 7 moves, and it's a very rich position. So Sushan can still play the Evans Gambit with us, or play against our Evans Gambits without the game going straight into a long endgame. Rook e6, powerful stuff. DG Chess develops the rook from h1, gets checked, king moves over, and now black has another big choice. Xone may stop for a moment and think between the beautiful looking bishop g6 and the workman-like king just rushing over this way while the rook is off the c-file. Goes for bishop g6 check. Here's the thing. Here you could go king c8, king b3, king b7, and possibly trap the knight. After bishop check, king b3, if you go king c8, the bishop's pinned. Oh, but the rook's now covering b6. Previously, there was this knight b6 move. Does it still work with the rook here? No, actually. Or yes, actually. Knight b6. I don't know. I used too many negatives. I'm lost. But knight b6 works. Knight b6 check works here. Oui? D'accord. Oh, c'est mon stylo précieux!
You gave it to me. I found my pencil back.
Tu as retrouvé ton stylo. Super, merci beaucoup. Et tu m'as rapporté mon stylo adoré. C'est très gentil. Oh, what a sweet kid. Oh, I love that guy. Okay, so this knight b6 thing still works. So we're in this position here, and Xone still Still needing to find something more for black. The knight can't get out, but it can't be trapped yet either. If the black king ever tries to cross this file, boom! Knight b6. Okay, that's a useful gift, Foos, to turn a mundane win into an exciting win. There are people out there like Sushan who would probably want that skill. Probably want the wins to be more exciting. I'm being flashed a YouTube graphic that I'm not accustomed to. It says, Yusti Chess, welcome to Dojo member. Somehow YouTube recognizes or knows Yusti or Juicy as a Dojo member. Well, much love to you, Juicy. You know, I've streamed to Twitch for 4 years, so I'm used to a certain number of messages that pop up on Twitch, but maybe that means that you're subscribed or followed or something like that to our, I don't even know what the right word is, to our YouTube channel. Maybe that's what that means. But it's the first time I've ever seen that message, which would mean that no other person who's ever watched a YouTube stream was a follower of our YouTube channel? That's hard to believe. Foos would willingly pass that skill on to somebody else. Like, here, Sushan, you can have my skill. I don't want this one. I think Zone might have played bishop f5 here. I can see Zone has made a move. Let's see what it was. Bishop e4. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Yeah, DG Chess cuts things off with rook takes e4. That's the end of that battle. It was a sick tactical battle around this knight. And the really good thing that both Zone Chess and DG Chess, Zone Horse and DG Chess, the good thing that they both did was they both recognized how critical those moves were. And you see that they spent like 5 to 10 minutes out of their 15 minutes calculating this phase instead of playing any of these moves too rapidly or taking things for granted, right? They were playing very, very calculatedly at this key moment that was a calculation moment. So that was super well done. DG Chess ultimately proved that the knight couldn't be trapped and deservedly wins the game. Patrick Rogan, only if somebody knows things super, super far ahead. Like, once you're talking players who know 30 plus moves of opening theory, then yes, a lot of lines do eventually end up in endgames that are somewhere between equal and slightly better. So that definitely does happen. DG Chess, as you may observe, I know that your first game finished because I was watching it closely. I was watching it almost as carefully as the two of you were. You guys did a great job of working hard on this key question of whether or not the knight could get out. But let's go to another game, right? We've got other games to watch. Bubblehead is down to seconds here, plus a 5-second increment. Seems to have an extra queen. And I don't see white's queen, so black's had the extra queen for a little while here. But they're basically going to have to play an entire game off a 5-second increment, which is extremely challenging. After your game, your opponent offered a rematch. It would not have counted towards the arena, no. It would have counted towards making a new friend, perhaps, or a new enemy, depending whether your opponent was like, I really enjoyed playing with you kind of rematch, or don't run away, you coward kind of rematch, you know? Both do come up. I always find it stressful when somebody's got less than 10 seconds, so I'm kind of looking at chat instead of at the board. But supposed to theoretically provide some commentary. So let's see what's going on. The knight sallies in. Simpler would have just been a rook trade. Trades are often the simplest moves to play when you're low on time and also when you're up material. So I think rook takes rook was a really simple move for black. And somebody in chat feeling the same way. Dripman saying, oh my god, just trade rooks. Foos thinks it's turned into enmity since they didn't accept the rematch. Yeah, you may need to avoid that player around the dojo for a little while. There might be some stewing resentment. Noir Viking joins us. Hello, Noir Viking. Hope you're having a great evening or day. There. Falgary makes the trade for Bubblicious. In my experience, Patrick, it was really at the 2700 level that people had things worked out all the way to end games, 30 plus moves. There will be people now and then at lower ratings who are extremely booked up. But in general, if they've put that much effort into being as booked up as Fabi when they're rated, 1500 or 2000 or 700, there's going to be major other holes in their game, and you could basically hang a piece to get out of opening theory and then beat them fairly easily since every other aspect of their game will be anemic. All right, black threatens knight to g3. It's a good move. They've got 1 second left. Didn't make it there, yeah. Oh, God, I hate the flagging. Dojo Rivals returning would be great, M. Norris. Yeah, and Foos against this player who wants a rematch. We'll arrange the rematch for them. That would be great. So, Sushan, you memorized a chessable course and you're afraid that someone else might read the same chessable course as you and memorize some of the same lines. Yeah, well, I mean, you're exactly the kind of player that you're hoping not to play against at times. So, good luck not facing yourself. Yum.
If I get one, and then what time?
That's really nice.
Done because we're supposed to go to the beach to see my mom.
Yeah, whenever.
Okay.
Whenever. I was just making sure the event held. Give me a 10-minute warning. My phone vibrating? No, there was an actual person here moving. The closet has a really noisy sliding door. That's probably what the horrible sound was, M. Norris. Sorry. And Falgary is in chat following this victory here. Congratulations on the victory, Falgary. We've got some YouTubers talking about how do they avoid opening theory. They've prepared so much opening theory, and they're afraid they might play against an opponent who prepared a lot of opening theory. Yeah. All right, let's grab a new game, shall we, folks? Let's go to the club, find the current events, click on the 1700 plus group, and let's check ourselves out some really high quality game here. We've got Blunderfest with an extra bishop against like 5 doubled pawns. Very strange pawn structure here. Wild game. White probably winning the endgame with the extra bishop, but it's always hard to win an endgame when you don't have any pawns left. But let me see if there's like a more alive game here, you know what I mean? With like lots of pieces still on the board. Ay, what is this? 2 rooks against 2 knights in the Trav Kuskin battle. The pawn on b2, pinned at great distance by the bishop h8, so this is not a queen sack going on here. Sometimes people click on the wrong, whatchamacallit, Submarine Mike. Sometimes they click on the wrong tournament section, yeah? Okay, the queen retreats from the trade, right. So she was almost trapped by this rook, and she doesn't want to trade queens and get into this. That would be completely winning for Aaron. So she hides on c2. I feel like Aaron may have again played a modern opening. Has this become Aaron's go-to? No, we get a real Sicilian here. Okay. With a wild and exciting queenside attack, and Aaron plays a beautiful move here. b3. Beautiful stuff. It attacks the queen and prepares this queen a2 checkmate because the knight is pinned. Right? So if the queen wanders over this way, you can give checkmate. If the queen takes here, you'll have to recapture. If the queen takes here, you have to not capture that queen. Merci beaucoup. Because if you take here, actually I guess you could take there if you really wanted to, but you'd be missing out on the checkmate with everything hanging. So after b3, everything should be winning. Trav Kostya is thinking a bit, but I don't think there's anything really left here to prolong this game, so we'll have to pick another game here. But I do want to see a 1700 plus game. Yeah, the game ends with the queen steps away and checkmate. And you see this b3 pawn. A nice thing about it aesthetically is, there's the a pawn, but it's pinned. There's the queen. There's the knight that's pinned. This pawn that's pinned. It's kind of like just a maximum number of pins here. So probably a great game from Aaron, but I'd like to see one of these games kind of more in full live. So let's see if we can't find, a fresher game that's still closer to being in the opening. Here we go. Perfect. We're in the opening. Yeah, that b3 move is a little bit like the super famous queen g3 move from Frank Marshall. Absolutely. This opening looks like black somehow got a little bit low on time, like they've played a move like knight f6, knight g8, or bishop b4, bishop f8 in the opening. Let me see what it was. Maybe like a pin Sicilian where they had to retreat. a6, get kicked. Ouch. Yeah, is a6 okay here? Is e5 too strong? You guys throw some bits instead of gold coins. Yeah. The modern gold bits move. Are you that math guy? I don't know. Are you that philosopher guy? I don't know who you're talking to, Nero. But this a6 move looks like a mistake. I think here black has to play a move to prevent e5. On the last move, e5 isn't good, kicking the knight, because of queen a5. But after knight c3, blocking the queen a5 check trick, white is literally threatening e5 in the opening here. That's the kind of thing that sometimes people don't know about their own openings because they've memorized a series of moves and it wasn't mentioned in a book or a course. But knight c3 threatens e5. If the knight would be forced to go to g8, e5 is probably a good move. If the knight can move to d5 or e4, it's okay. So in this position, there are the following moves for black. Bishop b4, so the knight can go in the center. d6, preventing e5. And knight c6, sort of preventing e5. White can trade it to gain control of e5, but then the knight doesn't have to go to g8, it can go to d5, and so again, this line is playable for black. So in this position, black has to choose some move that prevents e5. I think queen c7 might be another move you could consider, but it looks suspicious against knight b5 in this move order. Okay, so black played a6, white played e5, kicks the knight to g8. a3 is a suspicious use of the extra time white has. I would have probably just played bishop f4 immediately there. This move here seems to be aimed against bishop b4, but my thought would be that if black plays bishop b4, we'll actually be happy as white because we have the move queen g4 counterattacking g7. And I would expect this would turn out very well for white, actually. That is actually, Sushan, it's funny. Sushan's bringing us the real problems today. You know, first of all, what do you do about the fact that you've memorized an opening course and now your games are going to end games deep in the game and you're not getting fresh, rich positions to think for yourself? Well, you know, because you memorized the opening course. And now the problem of when you play a game, you feel thirsty at the beginning of the game, so you sip a lot of water, and then at the end of the game, you're low on time and you have to run to the bathroom a bunch of times while you're feeling nervous and your clock is flagging. Yeah, that's one of the major problems of OTB chess. Something that people who've only played at home online won't be as familiar with. But in over-the-board tournaments, it's hilarious when you get later into the time control, seeing all the people kind of rushing. I've been one of them, so this is, you know, me as well. Seeing all the people sort of like rushing to the bathroom as their clock ticks down, trying to get one last pee in. Hilarious stuff, you know, seeing the quick walks of all the nervous bathroom goers at the very end. There's not really a great solution to it, actually, Sushan, and Jesse Kraai thinks that his bladder actually limited his potential as a chess player in tournaments. So yeah, I mean, you can try and sip smaller amounts of water, preemptively go to the bathroom earlier in the game when your opponent's doing a deep think, even if you don't yet feel like you really need to go. You can try and plan things like that a little bit here. So Nero, you're saying that I resemble a math person named Steve Mould? It is actually true, Nordovik. It's not in that blame command, but he has blamed it many, many times in the real world with me. Maybe Shevchenko just has a small bladder. Yeah, but then he wouldn't be like waiting around while there are open stalls. You see, M. Norris? That's how it didn't work out. So Steve Mould is British. How could I resemble a British person? I can't even do a British accent if I want to. Hey Cameron, how are you? Thanks for the raid. Oh wait, no, not exclam. Shout out. Fail. Bruce fail. Shout out Cameron Heidi. Folks, if you don't know, Cameron Heidi is an adult improver, like many of you. She started out on a quest from about, I don't know, maybe 12 or 1300 and made it up to 2000 as an adult. Maybe she's even higher now. And she's got a great video talking about how she did it. She did not use the Dojo training program. She made it basically on her own, but she used a really good approach, and she made a really good YouTube video about it. So you could search for that and check it out. Stuckfish is an adult who doesn't improve much. Yeah, most adults don't improve much. That's part of the thing, Stuckfish. Usually adults have less time to work on chess than kids do. Anyway, a science-related educational videos. Okay, cool. +120 moves in opposite-colored bishop position. Didn't that feel good at the end, Patrick? It's great to play the longest game. Okay, so we had a3, queen c7, bishop f4 defending the pawn, d6, fighting the pawn at its source. I would expect maybe a move like queen e2 here. It's a weird move blocking the bishop, and it did get played. Knight d7. Is Cameron playing in a tournament, Stuckfish? Is it part of a tournament? Is it online? Is it OTB? Tell us more. We'll definitely recommend to people to go check it out. Yeah. So it's a little lame to block in this bishop, but we get the rook onto the open file really fast. Held that tension on e5 for a moment. It looks very, very promising that white's going to be able to land some kind of a blow here, some kind of knight e6 or knight f5 kind of move. ED, bishop d6, knight b5. Was there at least? Uh-oh, let's check that. Takes, knight b5, takes. About 10 minutes now? Okay. Thank you. So queen a5, check. Oh, and then b4, huh? Is that what's up, Elise? Bishop b4. The queen's got a1 covered. Maybe black escapes with queen a5, huh? Before queen e2. Basically, Stamen, the problem is that these players are drinking water at the beginning of their game, and then at the end of the game realizing that they need to go to the bathroom once they're in time trouble. So they're in time trouble, and they need to go to the bathroom. It's a real tough spot to be in when you don't know. Yeah, when you're starting to not have an extra 2 or 3 minutes to run back and forth. Yeah, so I don't think this knight b5 quite worked. Maybe I'm missing something. The Archer is a good book for improving at anything. Melt like butter? Wow, like The Art of Learning by Josh Waitzkin, huh? That's great. Good to know. ED6 instead of queen e2. Oh, right here, Elise. Takes, knight here, takes. Maybe this would be the reason that I thought you didn't do it, Elise. Bishop takes f4 after taking one knight, and then you get the second knight. All right, Melt Like Butter. I'm sold. I'm interested in reading that. Yeah, this is something where suddenly white has no minor pieces, and it's probably not good. Also, in this position, you would expect white has the advantage, right? 3 pieces out. And black starting to open the center. So queen e2 makes a lot of sense. Maybe a simpler continuation, Elise. Takes, knight e6. Is there a refutation to this? It's a less obvious move because maybe we're helping black develop, but if we get control of the dark squares like this, plus an extra pawn, that's going to be a great situation for white. So, does black have a tactical way out against this move? This might have been better than queen e2. This looks very strong. Yeah, now this is completely insufficient, right? If black just tries to take minor pieces. There's only 2 of them, and this knight. Black's down the e6 pawn compared to before, and white's up the knight compared to before, right? So white just plops the knight in the center, and yeah, it's horror. I thought you knew may not have found that line. Perhaps didn't. Played Queen E2, which was my sort of blitz instinct move. And we get this situation, which I still think is good for white, but we'll see. Black's looking to trade some things. Where's my phone? Great question. Yeah, maybe in my shorts? No. I don't know. Folks, we gotta go. The kids are up. So I'm gonna leave you here with your tournament. There's 2 more hours of play available. So let me just remind you, !play. Anyone who wants to can still join. Got 3 links there. I'm sorry, Elise. I saw I made you cry yesterday too. I apologize for that. But let's also mention Cameron, who just rated us, is playing an OTB tournament, and she's got her games streamed live with commentary. The next round's in 3.5 hours, so that would be like a great show to check out for anybody interested in what does OTB chess feel like for an adult improver. Go check out Cameron's channel. Let me try and send the link again for those who want to follow it. You'll be able to check it. You'll get, if you follow that link, if you click on that link and follow her account, then later when the next stream starts, you'll get an alert. It'll help you find your way to that show. That said, I wish everybody a great day or evening.